And we are live.
Of course we are. What it do, snaggers and snaggettes. I'm your boy Gage. Jokes is having a sip. Sin is sitting pretty.
Good.
This is Cutscenes, where we get together once a week and talk about things that are happening in video games because cutscenes are.
The best,
Best
part of the game.
It's a fact. And we have some things to talk about. And before we get too deep into the things we need to talk about, I want to ask a question.
Yes, sir.
Joke,
Yes, sir.
how much money do you think you spent? Why you snickering? Sin?
I just think I know where you're going with this.
Nah, you don't.
Okay.
Now, how much money do you think you have spent in Grand Theft Auto 5? Grand total.
Probably not as much as you think. Maybe what I've spent, but I've bought a few shark cards here and there. But I've never bought anything over like the $20 card at one point. So
Okay.
maybe $100. Nothing. I don't. At least me. I don't think that's too crazy for the life of having what Grand Theft Auto 5 has been online. But
So you're talking real money, not in-game money.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean real money.
Okay.
Yeah.
yeah, but
Yeah, I mean, he you know, he don't play it as often as we do, but we know that he has a tendency to TA on things, and so I just wanted to.
Yeah.
I was just wondering. We need to talk about Resident Evil because today, K Dizzle, what's up? Tyrone, what's up? They decided to have a showcase that they announced last week. It's like 15 minutes long.
Yeah,
Mhm.
short and sweet.
I honestly thought it was going to be longer than that, and I also thought there was going to be more information. Oh, let me not say. Well, I did think there was going to be more information, or I thought there was going to be more significant information. I didn't necessarily think there was going to be more information, but Jokes, you are just over 30 years old,
Mm-hmm.
and Resident Evil is 25, and so I want to know what your history is like with Resident Evil before I dig too far into what was in the showcase. Like,
I dig it. Like it's actually funny because me and Sin literally before we got on almost like had a small bit of this conversation.
oh yeah,
Because we were talking about the new one coming up. So I probably didn't get into Resident Evil probably till around the third game. Because when they originally came out, especially on the OG PlayStation, I was a little wee young, so
yeah,
wasn't necessarily my first game of choice when it came out. But
Sure.
then as I got a little bit older, the scary stuff was like, you know what? It's not scary, but you know what? I can play this. So I didn't get in until around the third game. I would say in completion and being able to remember and tell you things, I didn't do that until 5. From 5, I pretty much
Okay.
was fully in. 5 was the first one that I pretty much went back through and like played that zone again. But I didn't
Okay.
really have my first introduction until Resident Evil 3.
Okay, that's what's up. K Dizzle, I would certainly appreciate that if you hosted us across Twitch. That would be dope.
Oh, beautiful.
What's up, Marcus?
Appreciate it.
What's happening?
Sin, you and I think, have relatively similar Resident Evil stories, though I think for the two of us, where it jumps on at the same point and then continues all the way through is probably around 2. Resident Evil 1.
Classic. Good memories.
I was in college the first time I played Resident Evil 1 when it first came out. And I had one of the guys that stayed in my dorm, like a couple floors down, worked at a Blockbuster. And and
Had the hookup.
well, none of us owned a PlayStation.
Okay.
You know what I'm saying? So like a couple of us actually had Saturns. You know, SNESs and stuff like that or whatever in the dorm, but like nobody had a PlayStation. So he rented a PlayStation from Blockbuster and Resident Evil 1. And they got to, at the time, I think the longest you could rent stuff for was like 3 days. You know, there was like 1 day rentals and they had 3 day rentals.
Sounds about right.
But if you worked there, you could do 5 day rentals. So we had that joint for 5 days. Let me tell you something.
It was an intense 5 days.
Slim. Nobody went to class. Slim, we would stop at like 6 in the morning, shoot the McDonald's, get breakfast, come back right back in. And here's the thing. Played all the way through that joint as Chris, and then all the way through that joint as Jill. We ain't have no books, no strategy guides. We had to figure it all out.
I like that.
And because we rented that joint, and here's the real reason why it went that way. No memory card.
I was about to say.
Oh.
So if you cut it off, you would start all the way
had
from square
to.
one.
We was G's. Ribbons ain't mean nothing to us, bruh. There was no saving, dog. You know what I mean? We had to straight up crush that joint. What's up, Ty? We just in here talking about good stuff you probably wouldn't know nothing about. You know what I mean? Nah, you probably know some stuff about some of this. Yeah, I mean, real talk, not having a memory card, that was murderous.
That's part.
Yeah.
So when I did get a PlayStation, there was no way it was happening without a memory card. I probably had, man, I must have had like 5 or 6 memory cards.
I'm right there with you on that.
I must
We
have.
all did, yeah.
I'm right there.
You know what I
I
mean?
had a few of them things.
Yeah, for sure.
Resident Evil 1 was the most realistic thing ever saw back then. Like, oh my God, look at these graphics.
Oh, you right.
This is absolutely amazing.
Yeah, it's listen. Nah, all right, hold on, listen. We got 2 ties in the chat. Okay.
Okay.
So now I gotta start trying to be specific about which Ty I'm talking to. When I talk to Ty, I got a Ty on Twitch.
I was about to
I
say
got
that.
a Ty on YouTube. YouTube Ty. Stuff you don't probably know nothing about. I'm just messing around. Twitch Ty. Shake Your Groove thing Ty. Yeah, nah, you right. You just leave the joint on and run your electricity bill up. Like we used to have to do with the NES. Like, it wasn't like I was a straight stranger to the idea of doing something like that.
Right.
I most definitely used to like leave the NES on with Mega Man all the way at the end.
Right,
And try
don't
to
turn that
block
joint
the
off.
hole in the joint.
Just leave it. Let's just go what we need to do, and we're gonna come back. We're gonna finish this thing.
Yeah, so nobody would turn the joint off.
That big old power pack in the wall be hot as hell.
What?
Hey, it'll get turned off eventually. Once it's
Listen.
finished.
Sucking the juice out of bruh.
You burn your hand trying to yank that thing out.
Yeah, bruh. Yeah, that joint is crazy.
I only had to do
Crazy.
that one game on the
Now you
PlayStation.
good. You good,
Man.
Twitch Ty. All right, so let's talk about the RA showcase. So there was a new world premiere. We've already seen a trailer for Resident Evil 8, which is Resident Evil Village.
Mm-hmm.
But there was a new world premiere trailer. Ethan Winters is back from 7.
Mm-hmm.
Did you play 7, Jokes?
Some of it. I didn't finish it. Actually,
You did?
I
Okay.
literally just downloaded that. It's part of Game Pass, so I think I'm gonna take my time and just go ahead and mosey on through it.
Okay. I ain't mad at that.
Hey, bro. Hey. All right, listen, YouTube Ty. Kitty City, bro.
Oh wow.
And listen, on the government, Lionel Kitty City, bro. Like the full government joint for that. Woo wee. Yeah, no doubt. Hey, did y'all think the first Resident Evil was scary?
It was one of them type of things where once something jumped out the first time, you knew it was going to happen again. So it was like, okay, I got that out of my system. I can keep going now. I'm not worried about it. So, I mean, yes, the eeriness, the atmosphere, all that kind of stuff was kind of spooky and creepy and stuff like that. But overall, besides, some jumps here and there, not necessarily.
That's more or less where my moments got me at. Like,
Oh, man, that's a yes.
looking at hideous creatures, what like none of that ever bothered me. It was just always that those random occurrences, or either just something jumping out of nowhere, or that random
dogs
just
coming
like,
through the window,
like grab you, yank you up, or something like that. Those are normally the moments that got me the most.
Yeah, I mean that. I mean, I would say the joint. I think the joint was scary. I mean, the atmosphere and all that. You know what I mean, or whatever. Like, I guess I'm asking because I know, Sin, you don't really like scary joints, but
no.
I know that we played all the Resident Evil joints.
Oh yeah, I beat 1, 2, and 3. You can might as well say I've never touched 4. And I'm actually holding off until hopefully they do a remake of it, and I'll go ahead and put the time in and beat the game when it came out. Yeah, 4. Yeah, because everybody says it's so great and all that kind of stuff. So I'll go knock it out. 5, we bodied 5 immensely. Immensely. We put in some work. Yeah. 6, I still want to go back and beat 6. Once we get around 7, I'm like, hey, all right, that look, y'all doing things different now. I gotta pump the brakes on this.
I mean, real talk, like, I mean, let's just keep it a buck. Like, for all intents and purposes, Resident Evil, Capcom invented survival horror with that. There really just wasn't anything else like that. And it got off the rails, man. Like, you know, Dino Crisis.
Oh God, don't bring that up.
Took it off the rails. But don't act like we didn't like it and didn't play it. Like, it didn't make any sense. But we played it. You know what I mean? Resident Evil's story is so convoluted.
It is,
though.
Like, even looking at the trailer today and just remembering, like, just the trailer from 7, I'm like, this is so different from the third person.
What they used to be like.
Yeah.
It's
so different.
Which is smart. I mean, I think they need to bring it up. I mean, listen, I didn't actually find Eternal Darkness scary, although
I remember that.
You don't remember that?
The name is like right there. I'm just trying to remember what the game was.
So that was made by the same dude that made Two Worlds for Xbox, which ended up being terrible.
Oh yeah, I remember this.
Eternal Darkness was a classic joint that was exclusive for Nintendo. GameCube.
Oh yeah, I never played this. I see it here.
And it did things like it actually took cues from, like, you remember how in, like, the first Metal Gear when you fight Psycho Mantis could, like, read information off your memory card and stuff like that and tell you stuff. Like, it did those kinds of things. It would play with, like, the volume, like on your TV, or at least it will make you, like, the volume and stuff would go down in the game, and it would put up, like, an electronic volume thing on your screen to make it look like it was turning down the volume in your TV and stuff like that. Like, it has some really dope ideas in it. See, it's a hydraulic say when it mess with your TV. Yeah, exactly. Like, that joint was clean. I just I think for real, it's good. For me, it feels good to see Resident Evil make the kind of resurgence that it's making. You know what I mean? And kind of be back in the zeitgeist. But
reinvent itself.
Yeah. The for the first time in the trailer, we actually get to hear the main, like, antagonist say, "It looks like you survived what my brother had in store for you." So clearly they're related. It's the same. It's all in the same family. My man said he moved the game to a different room to test it out.
The graphics was better.
You wasn't that scared. You wasn't that scared that you did that. You was ready to play.
You know, the lights are brighter in here. Let me move everything in there.
So originally they had only announced that this was coming to new gen. So PS5, Xbox Series consoles, and PC. So today they announced that it is coming to Xbox One. It is coming to PlayStation 4 as well. And that if you buy it for those systems, you get the automatic upgrade, to the PS5 and the Xbox Series. There's a digital deluxe edition. There's a collector's edition with a figure. Jokes.
I saw it already, but I don't.
Okay.
Pass on this one.
Okay.
And then there's a combo that gives you 7 and 8, so you could get 7 right away if you haven't played 7. Yeah, I mean, I don't care enough about Resident Evil to want a collector's edition or anything like that in any way. I mean, the digital deluxe edition that comes with a few extra, in-game items or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
I'm probably not even going to do that. And to be honest with you, I'm probably not going to buy this. But we'll get into that after we do a little bit more talking about what they had to say. Pre-orders went live today. Mm-hmm. So if you do want it, you can pre-order it now. If you pre-order it, there's some bonus content that you can get. An in-game weapon and some stuff to just kind of help you survive the first couple hours is how they described it. Pre-orders on PlayStation get the soundtrack, digital version of the soundtrack. And then they showed like the first actual gameplay of Resident Evil 8. And, again, they're changing things up a little bit. It's not just going to be that you have to shoot. They actually have a guard mechanic. Now you have to actually try to protect yourself, and they're saying that that's going to be vital.
Interesting, yeah.
Being able to survive. What's up, Alfonso? Something that's interesting. They added crafting, which I guess I didn't realize. Crafting, I thought, had always been
thing
there in some manner, but
maybe they took it out in the last one. That's why they felt like noted to mention that it's back.
I mean, I guess they didn't. Yeah. I mean. They didn't say it like it's back. They just said it like so you can combine things or whatever together. I'm like, yeah, haven't you always been able to combine like green herb and red herb and blue herb? I mean, you could combine. I mean, I guess maybe they didn't consider that crafting. Maybe they was just combining those elements, and maybe there's more to it than what has traditionally been there. Because really, before all you could do was like combine bullets with the gun.
Yeah, to load it up and stuff like that. Yeah.
So that's another interesting thing. I think one of the things about Resident Evil, setting the tone, the eeriness, and the level of scariness for Resident Evil, I think in a lot of ways was a couple of things. I think the tank controls, which people have complained about for years, but I think the tank controls were just fine. I think if you couldn't use tank controls, you were just garbage. And that's just you're playing a game, you just get used to the way that game works. Like that's just kind of how it is. And it certainly added to the atmosphere because of the way that they had to make the static backgrounds in Resident Evil. Like it was like nothing we'd ever seen before. Like those kind of realistic looking backgrounds with the characters running through them, running in and out of set camera angles, and having set controls regardless of where you were facing with that camera angle. Combined not only with the save system, but also with the inventory system and having very limited inventory and having to be very picky about what you take with you.
Right.
Getting back to a room, putting stuff in the chest until you could get to another room where you could get stuff out of the chest and actually having to stop and take the time to think about, okay, I don't need this, I don't need this, I don't need this. If I put this in the chest, then I can make it to this room. I can use this thing to open the door to get through here. And then I can get to the room on the other side and I can get in there, grab it, save, and then I can grab the thing out of the chest or whatever. Like having to think all that kind of stuff through just added to that atmosphere and stuff like that. And at the time, maybe we didn't know it, but you can kind of look back and say these are things that were done out of the constraints of what they had working with the hardware. You know what I mean? Like those static backgrounds and stuff were based on being, the constraints of the PlayStation. And the inventory system was probably the same way. Like we can only really have you carry so much stuff or whatever because there's not enough memory, or whatever for it to work. So it might be that you can make weapons sort of like Dead Rising, you know what I mean? Combine things together that you wouldn't normally combine to make weapons like that.
Possibly. I doubt it'll get crazy, but possibly.
Yeah. And not crazy like the way Dead Rising is. Like Dead Rising is OC with the stuff. But yeah, I mean, I think that again, it's come a long way, and it's good to see them kind of revitalize it. There's a demo that's exclusive to PlayStation 5 that is out right now. Which, I'm gonna be real, I think it's kind of dumb just because the number of PlayStation 5s out there is very constrained. Like I can see if it was just PlayStation was getting a demo or whatever.
Yeah.
But the fact that it's only PlayStation 5, it feels a little dumb. But I digress. There's no combat in this demo though.
No, it's just trying to escape the castle. That's it. So I guess running and puzzles and stuff like that, and trying to escape.
Yeah. And they're gonna put out a regular demo for all platforms in the spring. You know, the game's not coming out till May.
Hopefully.
So they got time, you know what I mean, to do that. And maybe they just need time to work on it, but
let it cook.
It may be just one of those things where they want to kind of just show off the RE engine running on PlayStation 5 and kind of, you know, see what it can do. But realistically, you're not putting stress on the system if there's not combat and multiple enemies coming at you and that kind of a thing. So it's going to be a little bit different. But you know, it is what it is. Like, obviously they signed a deal with Sony or whatever, and I guess Sony wanted it to only be on the PlayStation 5. It feels like one of those things. Again, before now, the system wasn't coming out on PlayStation 4 or Xbox One, so it feels like one of those things that is a remnant of the earlier era when Sony was like, oh, we don't do PlayStation 4.
We're not doing that.
We got the fine line here. PS5 is the way to go. PS4, get out of here.
We're not going back. Yeah,
right. Yeah. It definitely feels like that was, you know, is a remnant of that, and so I think that's what that's about. So again, it's the 25th anniversary on March 25th for Resident Evil. So they showed this new premiere trailer for something called RE Verse Resident Evil, which is apparently a multiplayer shoot 'em up with classic Resident Evil characters. It looks dumb, but listen,
that's why they're giving it to you. If you buy,
well, they're giving it to you if you buy the game.
Yeah, which I think is not a bad idea.
I mean, I think it's necessary. I think it's necessary. I think it's going to be necessary to give this away. This just feels like, honestly, when you say the 25th anniversary of the game is coming, my expectations for what you're doing for the 25th anniversary of a game with as hollowed a history as Resident Evil, I was expecting much more.
Agreed.
That is sorely disappointing. Sorely disappointing. I was expecting them to be like, yep, we're remaking 1. You know what I'm saying? Like,
they
didn't do a real full remake of 1. They did 2. They did 3.
Right.
They didn't do 1. Now would be the time.
Now would be the time to do 1. Yeah. Especially for a moment like this, 25th anniversary. Yeah, it's perfect.
So that's what I was waiting for. You know what I mean? Like, I was watching YouTube like, oh,
it's coming. But hey,
time for a Jill sandwich. It's about to go down. What's up?
Ended the stream. I was still thinking they were gonna hit the one more thing. Oh, by the way, just one more thing.
We have one more announcement today.
Here's what I'll say. I do think there's probably a remake coming. It's either 4 or it's 1.
Yeah,
could be both.
But those are next up. Those are next up on the list. Yeah.
Right. Yeah, it's not gonna be Code Veronica.
Right.
But or 0. But it did sound like when they ended the showcase, like they were gonna have more. There's something else coming. Like it was like literally, Brittany Brombacher, who was hosting it, was like, "I'll see you next time."
Right.
It's like, oh, okay. You know, and look. COVID, we know, had a heavy effect on things last year and production and so forth. And so maybe, you know what I mean, they were intending to have something. And maybe because of some of the things that changed, Sony's stance on PS4 versus PS5, the way that sales are happening, you know, and the ability to actually get consoles out and what they maybe thought the market would look like for the new generation consoles versus old, you know, in combination has led them to kind of have to change focus and be like, all right, well, we need to make sure that this does work on the old consoles, and then we can't have a Cyberpunk. So we need to make sure this joint
is running on all cylinders.
Yeah, right, the right way. And if we're gonna delay it, we're gonna delay it the right way and get it out when we say we're gonna get it out.
Yeah, I mean, I don't think it's gonna get delayed. And I mean, but I think that they'll find the best way to scope it down so that it makes the most sense. This isn't the kind of game that's going to be anywhere near as large in scope as what Cyberpunk is. You know what I mean? With all the branching paths and all the different stuff you do, like it's nowhere near what that is. So I certainly don't think it would be as difficult to do it, but I it does, again, it what's happening right now based on the announcements that were made leads credence to me to the idea that they were not initially planning to do that, because it's kind of like, unless it was just one of those things where it was like, we don't want to say that it's coming for the old systems because we don't want people to not buy the new systems, but y'all don't have nothing to do with that. You know what I'm saying? Like, that doesn't really make a whole lot of sense. So, what they did announce, that there are Resident Evil outfits coming to the Division 2.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that threw me for a loop.
It was, listen, it was kind of cool to see that. I'll jump in.
I'm gonna try to grab him.
Anyway.
Because you at least get Leon's outfit for free just for jumping in.
Mm-hmm. Right. Exactly. Yeah. So, that's okay. You know what I mean? And I might be willing to work for what the other stuff is, but I'll be honest with you, I don't really like working for the outfits in the Division anyway. I don't feel like they're worth the trouble because they don't do anything.
Right.
There's a lot of work to look a certain way that does absolutely nothing other than let you look like something.
Right.
I like to get fly, so I go after them.
Yeah, but it doesn't do anything. And you know what? You don't really look that fly. You know why? Because ain't nobody looking at you. You know why ain't nobody looking at you? Because we shooting at things. Mm-hmm. So, like, it isn't even like when we're playing, like, even in Destiny, there are moments where it feels like you actually have moments to actually see each other when it calms down for a second and you go, you know what I mean? You go to the tower. Like, I complain about
the whole
outfits and stuff like that in Destiny, like, but at least the things that you do work hard for, even though you can't wear all of them at once, at least they do actually do, like, it feels like they do something. You know what I mean? This sounds like it's just, it's purely cosmetic, which is cool. Again, they're giving you something free. You know what I mean? We can all be Leon for a little bit. You know what I mean? Or whatever, but the kind of work they want you to do, man, that grind for something that doesn't actually give you any in-game status, whatever, just kind of feels hollow. And I don't have that kind of time anymore.
True.
That'd
be you, Ty. That'd be you, Ty.
Listen, Carson, you lying. Cause I'm gonna tell you what, listen. If the outfit look okay, but it doesn't do anything for me, which is one of the biggest issues I have with Cyberpunk. Like, Cyberpunk put all this focus on making the outfits and stuff look like, you know what I mean? They force something and then it's like, but if you want to actually be safe, you can't wear what looks good.
I'll come on the ugliest thing.
You gotta wear what's.
If I get all the extra boost and everything I need, I will come on the ugliest thing that they have in the damn game.
Right. Which is why you'll be in a yellow leotard.
I can't do it. That should be driving me crazy.
That's fine.
I'll put these jeans back on with zero defense and just have.
That's fine. And you keep dying, because we ain't gonna keep picking you up. You better put that shit on so you have your defense.
Well, again, it's Cyberpunk, so that ain't gonna matter.
It's Cyberpunk,
yeah. But yeah, I can't, man. I don't, Hey, Ty, you be kicking people out your party if they look whack?
Probably do.
I feel like you lying. I mean, listen, they just did the new patch. They're up to 1.1 now, so we'll see if they made some changes or whatever.
You need to kick yourself out the party.
I don't know if we'll ever get a new Parasite Eve.
I would love it, but I would love to see a remake, but I doubt it.
Yeah, I'm afraid.
I doubt it.
I'm afraid of that, but I loved what it was. It was like Final Fantasy with guns. Like, it was cool at the time. I don't know if we'll ever get that. Yeah, I have played the new Assassin's Creed, Alfonso. It's okay.
Me too.
It's okay.
Fun with it. I'm liking it right now.
It's nothing to write home about.
It's not holding me. Like, I like where it's going, but it's just not holding me.
Yeah, I mean it. If you like Assassin's Creed, I guess, like, it feels like more Assassin's Creed. I like it better than Odyssey. I don't think I like it better than Origins. But Odyssey and Origins, neither of those are better than Syndicate, or better than Brotherhood, or better than Black Flag. So I'd rather they go back to what Assassin's Creed used to be, where you were actually an assassin and you actually snuck around and you actually jumped off of things and stabbed people with the like That's what.
Or just name it something else.
Like I said, I'm messing with it, but I think it's mainly because I was watching Vikings, so I know all the lore and the characters. So like, I'm really like into it because I know where it takes place in history and everything. Like, okay, I know what we're about to get into. I know these places. I know these names. Like, so
we talked about that last time we was talking about it. I think that's cool, but like, you know, if you gotta go watch multiple seasons of a show called Vikings in order to feel like you like the new Assassin's Creed game or get into it,
that's
to me that's
I just said for me it just helps because I enjoy Assassin's Creed. I enjoyed the last two. This one just I'm into it a lot more because I know the history.
Right. Right. I mean, I get you. Yeah, I don't know. It's cool. You know what I mean? I feel like there's a piece of me that feels like I should have bought Immortal Phoenix Rising instead of buying Assassin's Creed. But I feel like Immortal Phoenix Rising is gonna end up in Game Pass, and we're gonna talk about that in a little bit.
Agreed.
Yeah. See, Kaylon said he's playing it now and isn't sure how he's feeling about the story. I mean, again, listen, I think you know, I don't know that the way that they have these newer Assassin's Creeds hold as well. Like I don't, but also the fact that they change the protagonist every time now, I also feel like I don't like that quite as much. Like I enjoyed having Ezio for multiple games and kind of seeing Ezio grow to get old, you know what I mean, or whatever. And I think there was something to that, but also, you know, again, like, listen, being able to do the raids and all that kind of stuff, it's cool. There are definitely features that are there that I like. I think there's stuff that they're putting into place that I definitely think are going to be factors in some way, shape, or form as Ubisoft and Massive start working on this Star Wars game. I definitely think there are things that they're going to pull from what's happening in Assassin's Creed 2. I think it's going to be necessary. So again, it makes me interested for what they might do in the future with an IP that I'm already interested in, to say the least. Yeah, once they killed Desmond, dog. And there were a lot of people who didn't like that, like didn't like the jump into the future part of it. I'm like, but that's what the entire actual game is. Honestly, what I was waiting for them to do was make an Assassin's Creed in current time.
That's what I thought it was leading up to. How they kept bouncing between the Animus coming back into the real world. Desmond had the abilities. It was there. He could do it. And I thought it was eventually just going to be that. And it was just going to be normal, regular guns and things like that with this. I feel like that was a
body Desmond.
At this point, I do not care when I get outside of when I'm in the Animus and walking around. And no, get me back in there and let me keep doing what I was doing. I don't care about none of this stuff no more at this point.
Well, yeah, that's what I'm saying. I think they messed that up. You know what I mean? But if the intention initially, I wouldn't be surprised if initially they were writing the story to have it come to a head in that way. That like you would actually get to be Desmond and play in, you know what I'm saying, current times. But I think they realized that what they had was a cash cow on their hands, and if they did that, they wouldn't necessarily have something to ride with to continue making more games. Mm-hmm. So I think they opted to go the way that made the most sense for them to be able to continue, you know what I'm saying, running with the franchise. Mm-hmm. So, you know, it's cool. It is what it is. Yeah, I don't think they really wanted to come forward at all anymore in time after, like, technically after, like, George Washington, which, you know, there are some detractors for Assassin's Creed 3. I actually thought Assassin's Creed 3 was pretty dope. Anyway, they also announced, well, they talked about the Resident Evil CGI movie that's coming out, Infinite Darkness, coming to Netflix, which, you know, looks like it might be decent. I think it's a better way. The idea of them doing that is certainly more exciting to me than them continuing to try to make live action, because the live action Resident Evil movies are, I mean, they work. They are what they are. You know what I mean? It's a action horror romp that doesn't really have a lot to do with what the actual video game timeline looks like. But they work. I mean, people go see them. It's people who go and see the movies who never have picked up the game and never will. You know what I mean? And I don't think there's anything that's happening cinematically that's going to bring people into Resident Evil Village. So, you know, I do think that by doing something CGI and putting that in front of people on a platform like Netflix, like we talked about yesterday on Weekly, that's got 200 million subscribers now. Sure. You know what I mean? Let's put it in front of people.
I'm looking forward to it.
Again, realistically, I'm a little disappointed. But I am definitely expecting for them to still announce either a remake of Resident Evil 1 or of 4.
Yeah.
And I just think they're a little bit behind and weren't in a place where they could do that right now. So we'll see how that goes.
I'll say I'm definitely intrigued by 8 from the stuff they showed me today. Like, I don't know if I'm going to get in and actually play it, but I like the sisters and all that type of stuff with the ladies in the castle and everything. I'm like, okay, this is kind of, I like the atmosphere. I like, like what I'm seeing here, the characters that play.
I agree.
Yeah. I like that stuff.
Are you too scared? Are you actually play it?
I'm more willing to give this one a shot than I was the last one.
Why?
Like, just for the reason I say, like the last one, I was like, nah, I'm not down with this. A cabin in the woods and it's dark, and I'm not hillbillies and crazy. Nah, I'm not messing with none of that stuff. It's just
the Dracula Castle joint. You cool with the cabin in the woods?
Like I said, that the creepy sisters, like it just looked kind of cool. I was like, all right, I'm kind of feeling this. All right, I'm willing to give it a shot. I'm not gonna buy it.
Man, at least have to get it. We have to. You got to play it live. That's got to be done online. And so when you decide to quit and stop playing, everybody can see that because that's going to be pretty funny.
Stephen Jones, the great auditorium in what's up, man?
When I just quit and walk off.
You just go quit. Like, I'm done.
Hey, look, that's a little different.
Go home.
Hey, look, that's a little different than whatever paranoia thing I played during Extra Life. Because this one, I got a gun. I can shoot back when I see him. I could not do that in that game.
I mean, all right, that's cool.
There's some way I can get my
you have a chance. You have a chance.
Yeah, I can fight back at least.
Yeah. I mean, listen. I think right now, in terms of like whether or not I would actually play Resident Evil 8, it's going to depend on the hype. If like the hype starts to pick up and people are like, yo, then I might have to actually like right now I have no intention of spending money on this game. None.
Would you?
None at all. And the idea of like a multiplayer running around shooting each other Resident Evil for free for buying this game, that's not gonna make me do it. So I'm not even close to being in that joint. That's not happening. Man, listen, I don't know when the Evil Dead game is coming out. I don't remember. We can look it up. So look that up real quick and see if you see, because we can rate it. Listen, I want to talk about Game Pass real quick because there's been a little bit of rigmarole over the last couple of days because an announcement.
Right now, it just has a 2021 release. That's it. No.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, they are. So there was a Twitter mishap, I guess, around Game Pass, saying that Fall Guys was coming to Game Pass.
Yeah.
Interesting.
And then the makers of Fall Guys was like,
"Nah, Slim."
And then listen, actually, it was the publisher of Fall Guys that was like, "That's not a thing." And then the makers of Fall Guys like, "Yeah, that's not a thing." Now, I think it's a thing. Okay? And I'm going to tell you why I think it's a thing.
Okay.
Because the exact same thing happened with Control.
I did.
Last year, Phil Spencer himself said Control was coming to Game Pass. And then Remedy Games was like, no, it's not.
Oh, y'all didn't get that email that we sent y'all?
You mean the one that you guys signed on the dotted line? Like,
check your spam folder. You probably got me going there. Check your spam folder.
Wrong Phil Spencer.
Well, here's the thing that's tricky about that. So, the publisher and the developer are more often than not the same company.
Mm-hmm.
And so Remedy, who has generally taken care of that stuff for themselves when they've done their games, in this case, Control was published by 505 Games, which 505 Games is making major moves. They just bought another company. But sounded to me like Microsoft probably talked to the publisher who has the rights to publish a game, was like, yeah, what's up? Let's do Game Pass. And they was like, oh, okay. And maybe 505 didn't pass that information on to the developer, Remedy. And if I'm not mistaken, 505 is also publishing Fall Guys.
So we're just gonna do the same thing over again. This is
Pretty much.
It's gonna be like a Tom Holland type thing. Spoiler.
Like I told y'all, stop putting me in the spam folder. You're missing this critical information.
Listen, like Control is on Game Pass now, right? But they was like, yeah, nah, that's not a thing. Clearly, it was a thing. So I think it's coming. Now it might be coming later as opposed to sooner, but I think it's coming. But what Game Pass did announce that's getting ready to come, we need to talk about this a little bit. So Control is coming to PC. That's a new thing that's happening. However, this is probably the biggest thing. The Yakuza Remastered collection, the entire collection, hits PC, console, and cloud.
Oh, Sin, you weren't hip to that?
I mean, since I already got them, like I don't need to, but
you gonna replay it. Stop it.
I mean, it's the remastered versions of Yakuza 3, 4, and 5.
Ooh.
All coming to Game Pass. All on the 28th.
Ooh.
You know what I'm saying? I think Donut County, hit today. Cyber Shadow, I think hit today, which is the new game from Yacht Club Games. That did Shovel Knight, which they've been doing Shovel Knight for so long. So this, it's a new game from Shovel Knight. Desperados 3, which I was this close to buying. I was like, man, that joint feels like it might. Now I was right. I was so right. So it does make me like, Game Pass is starting to make me iffy about buying certain things. It just seems like, all right. And so here's what the thing is. Rumors started hitting last week that the same kind of deal that EA did with Game Pass is getting ready to happen with Ubisoft. There are some very solid sources who are saying they have some very solid sources that this looks like it's getting ready to be a thing. Now, if you remember, Ubisoft now has their own paid service. Currently, it's only on PC. Okay? So they have a paid service that actually gives you access to all of their games day one on PC. Now, how that will or will not translate to Game Pass remains to be seen. And it could be that they do something like this with Game Pass, still at no extra charge. Maybe day one games, you know what I mean, brand new games aren't coming right away. Because I wouldn't expect that. Although they could do that on PC.
True.
Like they could just, because essentially all they did was fold the EA service into Game Pass, which doesn't give you, EA Play didn't give you brand new games on day one.
Right.
It gave you a discount on them when you bought them.
And you got to play them
early. Their own vault that they move stuff into. So there could be something like that coming for Ubisoft. And I think that actually might, I think I think that would be better than EA. Where you guys sit on this?
That'd be a real dope thing. Like, I tell you, Game Pass has made it like this is the fine opportunity to be a gamer. The best thing about Game Pass is, like, even if you don't have an Xbox, you can still use Game Pass on PC. And we know there is a heavy PC gaming base. And it's going to introduce you to games that possibly you would have never gotten your hands on. Like, say, for example, let's say a Gears of War, which typically was only an Xbox game. But naturally, still Microsoft under the hood, so instantly throw it in the PC. Or Game Pass for PC, I should say. But I think Game Pass has already become a game changer. And as they continue to do this, especially if they add a company like Ubisoft under the Game Pass title, Game Pass is going to become the force where eventually it kind of will just end up being its own standalone thing. Like, I know we've been talking for a while. Like, Nintendo has been putting some of those first party things like a Ori on the actual Switch. It still wouldn't surprise me if somehow Game Pass ended up working on the Switch down the road somewhere. I think Microsoft has they've built this collection of games from developers and publishers all around that some people either one would never get an opportunity to play because they just wouldn't purchase the game, and now that just gives them an opportunity to go in, download it, hey, play it for an hour. If you don't like it, hey, you didn't buy this game, it's just a part of Game Pass, delete it off your hard drive, move on to the next one. Game Pass has just completely changed the way, and just like you said, like, some games come out and you look at it and you're like, man, this just looks like this is going to end up in Game Pass in like the next 6 months or so for it. But
look, fact is, Game Pass is winning. Xbox has a bunch of studios under their belt, and they're throwing stuff in there, all the time. They got a Bethesda now, so you're gonna start seeing all those, Bethesda titles coming there. EA's joined up with it now, and now possibly Ubisoft. Like, Game Pass is just winning across the board, 100%. I definitely do agree with y'all. Some titles now, I do kind of look at myself sideways, like, I'm gonna hold off for you for a while because you're probably gonna end up in Game Pass at some point. Stuff like that. Like, I got games I'm holding off on now. Like, nope, I'm gonna wait. I'm gonna wait till the sale goes down.
Yeah, waiting for that announcement. Just wait for. Oh, by the way, this is in Game Pass now.
Yeah, I ain't gonna lie. When I buy a joint and then that joint shows up in Game Pass, I be in my feelings.
Dog, I be the same.
I be in my.
You be getting on this one.
See that turnaround is quick. Oh my gosh.
Yeah, I mean, look, here's the thing. I'm gonna say that one of the biggest things about Game Pass was the day and date, the day one releases that are coming from Microsoft Studios. Which, when Game Pass came out like 2.5 years ago, it was kind of like, all right, well, y'all don't even really have. You got like Forza, like that's it. Like, y'all don't even really have. You know what I mean? Microsoft Studios first party joints ain't really. Crackdown 3, that's what we got. That's where we are. Like, but the acquisitions, the studio acquisitions that have been made over the last year and a half, and then you combine that with the Bethesda, then you combine that with the deal that they did with EA. And again, keep in mind that like Microsoft and EA had a deal when Xbox One first came out. For EA Play. It was only available on the Xbox because Sony wouldn't allow it. Sony was like, nah, we're not putting you on our joint so people can come in here and get a discount and can whatever. Like, we're not doing it. So it took them years to finally jump on board, and it ended up that was an Xbox exclusive. So I'm pretty sure that the combination of Microsoft being able to show how successful publishers and themselves were being with Game Pass, that EA was like, oh, okay. You know what I mean? And y'all was there with us when we tried to do this off Jump Street from the beginning. So yeah, we'll work with you. Ubisoft as a company always tries to be first to the plate. If somebody's dropping new hardware, somebody's putting out, so like Ubisoft always like, we got a game, we gonna put on that. They're always right there at the launch. They always have a fresh title for the launch of any system. They have great relationships across the board with everyone. Ubisoft, again, right there at the launch of Stadia, the first game that was available for people to play and test out,
Odyssey,
was Assassin's Creed, right? Here comes Amazon. We doing this new joint called Luna. Oh, and by the way, you can pay us an extra like $5 a month or whatever and get a Ubisoft channel. And you can play all the Ubisoft games right through your Luna, like Ubisoft right there. So if there's any publisher that comes to mind, / developer that comes to mind for jumping on something like this and being able to take advantage, because right now, I'm pretty positive there are no Ubisoft games in Game Pass at all. I don't think there's any old ones. I don't think there ever have been at all. But Ubisoft has a tendency to take a hit early because they tend to drop multiple games at the same time towards the end of the year, right? So if you look at like Phoenix Rising and Assassin's Creed, both coming out almost back to back on top of each other. They're not the same game. They may not even be directed at exactly the same audience, but they are almost the same game, almost directed at the same audience. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. One's a little more lighthearted than the other, but an Ubisoft game is still an open world Ubisoft collectathon game. Like, it is what it is. You know what I mean? And they have a tendency to drop games like that, or even like Watch Dogs. All three of them games was like boom, boom, boom,
right.
Like right on top of each other, right? Yep. Same style, different place, whatever. And then you'll see, like a month after Watch Dogs comes out, you can get the joint on sale right now, half off. Or you can get, you know what I mean? And so, like, if you're seeing that kind of lift, you know what I mean, that is actually worth it, because these games are still managing to have some level of success, even dropping on top of each other. And even after those, discounts or whatever are hitting, Game Pass just makes sense, right? Because that means that people are buying them for less money, half price, whatever it is, but then they must be spending money for whatever they're giving you to increase your HP rate, you know what I'm saying? Or, whatever it is, cosmetic stuff, whatever it is that people are spending money on, you can go into Assassin's Creed and buy all kinds of crap. You know what I mean? Different mounts to ride and, all that kind of stuff. Different outfits. People are clearly spending money there. Ubisoft wouldn't be making money, and they wouldn't continue
with the model that they're using if it wasn't working. Yeah.
So if they're going to change the model in any way, they have to have looked at the numbers and said, all right, this might be a move for us. Especially since they're doing a subscription. And if you're doing a subscription and allowing people day one, you know what I mean, across PC, that to me says you also recognize that, like, there's a huge audience at PC, and that console isn't the only place. Like, people keep talking about the console war. That doesn't really matter anymore. It matters, but not like it did. You know what I'm saying? And as the cloud continues to be a thing, you need to have your stuff somewhere where people can get to it on the cloud. What does Ubisoft use to put their games on the cloud so you can play their games wherever you want?
Hey, hit your ride on Microsoft.
Mm-hmm. What exists? So the only thing that's close to that is the Switch. Right? So gotta jump on that xCloud.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? In some way, shape, or form.
Switch can't handle it.
You want your product to be front of mind no matter where you are. Mm-hmm. And at some point, the ability to compete with the kind of games that tend to be on people's minds when they're on a train, sitting in the back of the car, whatever it is, you got to be able to compete with Peggle, you know what I'm saying, and Candy Crush. And those games make billions of dollars every year. Old games. They ain't doing nothing new to them. They just printing cake. So we need to be in there. How do we get into that realm? Looks like Microsoft might have a way. Looks like Stadia has a way. Looks like Luna for Amazon is a way.
Right.
If I had to place bets, I'd say Ubisoft is coming to Game Pass in some manner. That there is an announcement coming, I would say by E3. That's my guess.
Well, I'm welcome. Let's go. Come on over, please. We want you here. When it comes to
joints I do spend my money on, they tend to get it.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Like yeah, facts.
I was this close to buying that Immortals Phoenix Rising. And I already got Watch Dogs. You know what I'm saying? They already got my Watch Dogs money, and they already got my Assassin's Creed money.
Yep.
But now they're trying to get me to jump back in the division.
Yep. And I'm about to get these outfits.
And listen. I don't know if y'all saw the new stuff for Rainbow Six, but good Lord. They did that Series X update.
Oh, I have not.
I ain't see it.
Let me go ahead and hit that upgrade right quick. Wow.
I mean, I don't think there's anybody that's better at doing the game as a service than them. Mm-hmm. Like, their success rate for doing a game that, like, comes out and it's like, it's cool, to a joint that just has a diehard following of fans that won't play anything else and stay buried in it. Like they just announced this week that they're doing an in-person. They're doing the Ubisoft the championships for Rainbow Six in person in Paris.
Oh wow!
In a room, like they announced all the COVID, like we got all the COVID guidelines. It's only gonna be this number of teams in any space. It's gonna be this much space between people. We followed everything that the French government says we have to do. We flying people in. We going in. We cleaning everything down rigorously. We cleaning off the computers. We spraying it down. They hiring teams and stuff to come in and do it. You know why? Because they're making that kind of money.
Yeah. And they know what type of money they're gonna pull in from doing this too.
Facts. They was like, we about to be the first.
It. Yeah. Oh my God.
We going that back. Yeah. And if it works, everybody else who has anything like that, tournament, some kind of space or whatever, they're gonna find a way to do it.
Yep.
You know what I mean? Like, it's kind of crazy. Like nobody talks about For Honor, bro. They update that joint like every 2 months.
Yeah.
They update that joint.
Just like you said with people. Just like you said with Rainbow Six, diehard following.
Straight up,
a diehard hardcore following.
Those games they should be in the same line when you mention how long Grand Theft Auto 5 online has been rocking. I mean, they haven't been as long as that, but the principle is the same. You know what I mean? They're like, we ain't here, we ain't going nowhere. We dropped this game 4 years ago, 5 years ago. We still cranking.
We're going to keep adding
to it. I mean?
It's like, y'all love it. All we do is do these quality of life updates for you, keep things moving along, give you some new content. And it's like until you guys say that you guys are tired of this, you guys are going to keep getting it with updates, and it's going to continue forever.
Right. Look at Cuddy in the comments, like, I stay on Division. Yeah, when you're not on Grand Theft, you on Division.
It's either one or the other.
Them the joints. So imagine if they was just like, Division 3 is coming out, Game Pass. Imagine they was like the new Star Wars game working out, day one, Game Pass.
We in those.
Oh.
Game Pass. You say Game Pass? Game Pass?
Oh, that?
Game Pass?
Yeah. I mean,
I can't come into work today.
What's wrong? I got that Game Pass. That's what's wrong.
I got that Game Pass. Are you terrible? Oh man, I ain't gonna make it in today. I got that Game Pass. Man, probably realistic though. Yeah, I mean, look, if there was anybody else, can you think of another publisher who you think might jump on that same bandwagon?
Man, Ubisoft see a lot of them. I said Ubisoft do it. There's gonna be a lot of people trying to jump on that bandwagon. Trying to think of who else is out there.
I'm just looking through like right now.
In terms of like major publishers?
Like I'm looking through my games. Like I'm looking through here right now to see.
Bandai Namco?
Bandai Namco could be one I could see.
Hey, can I tell you something? If Bandai Namco was to do that kind of a deal with Game Pass, that would set off an international incident.
You know what?
They are such a Japanese company, bro.
Hey,
they're such a Japanese company.
But Phil Spencer has been on those Japanese connections. So
I know, bro. I know. It's why Yakuza, the entire Yakuza remaster is coming.
It's there now.
Right? It's why all the Final Fantasies are coming. Still, they have like you see that kind of thing and you see those games coming to Game Pass, and then still you turn around and you get them coming out and be like, yeah, Final Fantasy 6 is only gonna be on PlayStation. You know what I'm saying? Street Fighter 5 only on PlayStation.
Man.
If Capcom was to do it,
I'm gonna say that's another one that's been around for a while and people are diehard about that Street Fighter 5.
Yeah. Like Street Fighter 5 has been cranking for quite some time.
Yeah.
Right? But imagine if it could actually I mean, look, it's on PC. It's not like it's technically, I mean, it is only on console on PlayStation, but it's on PC. You know what I mean? Yeah, they are super loyal to Sony, which again, they're countrymen.
Yeah,
you know what I mean. Like I don't fault them. Bethesda is like probably the biggest U.S. publisher there is. Microsoft was like, whoop.
Yep.
You know what I'm saying? Like that, and again, like we saw stories that came out like last week. They were talking about how when they first decided to make the Xbox, they tried to buy Nintendo.
I know.
They tried to buy Square. Listen, not like, hey, let us get some games.
No,
they tried to.
We want you. We want you. What game you want? No, we want you.
On the Microsoft jet, landed in Osaka and was like, we want to take you home.
Checkbook. How much for you guys? How much for you guys?
Come on, get out of here.
You don't take a check? I got the company card right here.
Hey, listen, real talk. Microsoft probably offered cash. They probably offered cash.
Suitcases,
you know what I'm saying?
Like, here, take it.
I mean, they listen. They tried to buy Nintendo. Nintendo wasn't having. They was like, we'll just take Rare. You know what I'm saying? Like, more money. You know what I'm saying? No more Donkey Kong for you. You know what I mean? So it's like, you know, I think also this week. Now I cannot think of his name. Itagaki, I believe, who was at Tecmo forever and created like Ninja Gaiden and Dead or Alive, left and created his own studio. And Twitter was on fire like, yo, Microsoft. Like somebody straight up asked my man, like, hey, if Microsoft tried to buy you so we can get this next Ninja Gaiden joint, what's up with that? And he was like, I would love it if they came at me. Yeah, Twitter was like, hey,
what?
Microsoft.
At Microsoft. Have y'all seen this? Hey, did y'all hear this? Get your checkbook. Go do it.
Hey, listen, Cyberpunk better come to Game Pass. And I'm going to tell you why. They did that deal.
But
They got that marketing deal. And I guarantee you somewhere in that marketing deal was the fact that joint's going to come to Game Pass at some point.
Yeah.
And it was probably set for like a year or something like that, or whenever the actual series version of the joint comes out, like the upgraded version comes out. But it wouldn't surprise me at all. Yeah, like, listen, I would take a new... Like, the fact that Microsoft is going to have ownership over Bethesda at the time that Ghostwire Tokyo and Deathloop come out as PlayStation exclusives is still crazy to me. And it wouldn't surprise me if they were supposed to be console exclusives and they were like, we'll put them on PC too, so they can get some of that. Or if they put them in Game Pass, but only on Game Pass PC. That's the kind of thing that people aren't really looking at and thinking about when it comes to the flexibility that Microsoft has. Like, the deal is that it's a console exclusive. All right, cool. That joint won't come to Xbox, or at least for whatever the time period was supposed to be. Like, it's not coming to Xbox.
But they can still throw it on that PC.
They can throw it on Game Pass PC because there are a lot of games that are on Game Pass PC that are not on console and vice versa. So that gives them that you know what I'm saying, that ability. Yeah, I think they'll have those games but if they could say, like, again, Ninja Gaiden, I think right now traditionally is thought of as either an old Nintendo franchise or as an Xbox franchise. When it comes to like Ninja Gaiden Black, like, people associate that with Xbox. He wouldn't be able to make one. But there are rumors right now that because they finished, I don't even want to say, like, I hate Tecmo's whole system for how they're doing Dead or Alive right now. I
can't stand it. And that's because that is the only reason why I don't buy them, even though I love DOA.
Here's the thing: Dead or Alive 5 is a better game than Dead or Alive 6. They strip stuff out. Like, there's no Dead or Alive. The tag team mode is why Dead or Alive is the jam. That joint forced Tekken to do Tekken tag. Like, they did a whole game that was tag team. You know what I'm saying? The tag team mode in Dead or Alive was always one of the major reasons to get it, and like that joint just doesn't exist in 6. It's just like not there. And I'm like, that doesn't even make sense. It's just a cash cow for them. We're just gonna keep putting out outfits and keep adding people, and characters aren't really that big a deal. It's not that great, you know what I mean, or whatever. And so there really, I think, is a need for them to do something about that. I'm gonna tell you what. If I was Microsoft, I would be chasing the small companies that people aren't really thinking about, like Arc Systems. I'll be going after Arc System Works. I'd be going after, like, they need that Japanese Blaze Blue community.
Our system would be fire.
You know what I'm saying? Like,
because they do the fire 2D joints right now. They're on top with that.
Throwing Dragon Ball Fighters.
Listen, if I could see Microsoft buying them just to get control over their rollback netcode, because rollback netcode is so important to fighting games online, and especially the tournaments when you can't get in a room together.
Yeah.
It just it's one of those things that just you can't really equate it. You know what I mean? It's just again, when you start seeing them kind of making those the kind of acquisitions that are the kind of thing that's just not we're not just trying to get a game, you know what I'm saying, from you. Again, when we talk about them buying Bethesda, they didn't buy Bethesda. They bought the company that owns Bethesda and got all the other studios that are included with that, but it also meant that they got all of their tech. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? So I wouldn't be surprised if they listen, Epic is so big now they couldn't buy Epic because of Fortnite.
Yep.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? Unreal Engine and Fortnite basically make Epic untouchable from those perspectives. But when you are buying companies that own engines that can be used for other things, now you're looking at things outside of just look. We're trying to put things in position so that more than just one person can. I mean, you know, we can make money off of other people making games, even if they don't publish their games on our platform. Mm-hmm. They're using our technology to do it. You know what I mean? They just did a new joint for Azure. Jokes. Look up. I think it's called PlayFab. For me, real quick. See if you see. I think that's what it's called. PlayFab. Does that come up?
Yep. Microsoft Azure PlayFab and full stack live ops real time. Yep.
So here's what PlayFab is. PlayFab was a company that specifically works in making open world online games operate well together and talk to multiple systems. And Microsoft scooped them up like a year and a half ago. Right? So you know what uses PlayFab in order to run their games? Massive and The Division. You know who just signed a deal to do a new Star Wars game? Massive and Ubisoft.
Mm-hmm.
It's the behind the scenes, like, y'all keep thinking about them consoles and that plastic in front of you if you want to.
That's cool.
We try and do some other things here. You understand what I'm saying?
So they're thinking ahead, years down the line. Yeah.
I mean, as a software company, you almost have to. You almost have to be looking at those kinds of things. Like if you consider what's happened since Microsoft entered the console space, like Nintendo has been a creator of brand new ways of play, like analog stick, rumble pack, memory pack to put in your N64 to make it more powerful. Like all of those things is like, you know, adding that kind of stuff in has been something Nintendo's been doing. And then after the N64, though, they fell behind the bell curve of tech, right?
Mm-hmm.
Microsoft swooped in and it's like, nah, we're going to build basically a PC that you can connect to your TV that runs like that. And that's what consoles are now. That's just what it is, right? We're going to put Ethernet adapter on the back of the joint. We're going to, you know what I mean? Like it just, they push that forward.
Right.
And you could do enhanced definition in 720p in the original Xbox. You know what I'm saying? Like they push that envelope. So a lot of what you see Sony, a lot of what you see Nintendo do now is based on that software push. That seems like it's hard, but it's software, right? That drives that tech to allow you to do it. I mean, it has a match what the hardware can do, but now it's getting to the point where it's outside of that, and you know, everybody's on the go. 5G is really starting to hit now. I think that's going to make a really big difference in what cloud is doing. So, what's up, Larry? I see you.
Hey.
Yeah, you're right. I mean, that's right. They do host PSN on Azure. PSN, I mean, PlayStation signed a deal with Microsoft to do kind of a trade-off with chips and for cloud service to Azure. PSN also outside of that, again, we've talked about it before, runs on Amazon's network.
Mm-hmm. Right.
So Amazon being like, yeah, we're just gonna go ahead and do video games too. We might as well. You know what I mean? Like they're ahead of the curve. And whether or not you see an Xbox console in what you're used to seeing in terms of the mind frame of console versus console, Xbox versus PlayStation, because nobody really says Xbox versus PlayStation versus Nintendo until Nintendo starts selling more consoles, because Nintendo's not in the conversation when it comes to tech and next gen. They're just not in that conversation at all. I saw something today. People were talking about whether or not they actually think we're going to get a Switch Pro this year or not. And I don't really think it matters, because the Switch is selling so well as it is right now. They don't have to do it.
Right.
Nintendo has their lane.
They're good right now.
They have their lane. They are sticking to it. Microsoft, PlayStation, and Xbox is not coming into that lane. So Nintendo is going to keep riding that lane until it just hits a brick wall.
I disagree. I think Microsoft is coming in that lane. I think that the handheld space that Nintendo has owned for decades, like Vita gave them some chase, PSP gave them some chase, but like Game Gear, Lynx, the Nomad, like all the other handheld joints never really had. I mean, for real, the Sega Nomad, which came out in like 91 or 92, was literally a handheld Sega Genesis. It had a screen. You put the cartridges in the joint, straight 16-bit, 6 buttons on the joint. Look it up. Sega Nomad. Them joints were like $2.99, right? And then they dropped the price down to like $40 because the Game Boy with the green screen was punishing them. joint was crushing them. And then, like that actually was a little later than that, because then the first Pokemon joint came out on Game Boy, and that was a wrap.
That was a wrap. It was done.
It was a wrap.
No turning
but
back.
But here's the thing. The Sega Nomad, and again, I kid you not, look this joint up. The Sega Nomad was large, right? Because you had to fit the whole cartridge in the joint.
Yeah.
But here's the thing. That joint had a Player 2 controller port on it. Literally, somebody else could plug their controller right into that joint.
Oh, yeah, I
you
remember
could play
that.
2 players on the joint with you. That joint had a video out that used the exact same output as the Sega Genesis. You could take the Nomad, travel with it, plug that joint into a TV, and literally use that joint as a Genesis. You know what I'm saying? Like, Sega did the Switch
before
decades before there was a Switch. Like, when people was like, the Switch is not brand new, dog. This is not the first time. You know what I'm saying? Atari Lynx, almost the same thing. You know what I'm saying? It ain't brand new, but Nintendo has the content, bruh. Like, they got Nintendo games, dog. Like, that joint is like, they got Mario,
Pokemon, Link.
You have think about it. You got a Japanese company that is like a Japanese toy company. Like, they are about as Japanese as it gets. The ideas, the stuff they come with, sideways off the wall, they still look at themselves more like a toy company than a video game company, which again is partially why they fall behind on that tech side of things. But that Japanese company's number one asset is a white plumber from New York. Straight up from Brooklyn, bro. From Brooklyn, bro.
He's their mascot.
Getting high on shrooms.
Yeah.
Like, he is their guy. That's it. You know what I'm saying? It's one of them things, bro.
He even got a Japanese name, Mario.
Nah, like, listen. Let me tell you how Japanese his name is, though. Because his first and last name are Mario, that's about as Japanese as it gets.
Mario.
That's
funny.
That's what we gonna do. We just go Mario, and Luigi Mario. Those are our people. You know what I'm saying? Look, we could talk this tech all day, but we got to get ready to wrap it up. So, because I need to play some more Hitman. Good Lord, I need to play some more Hitman.
Tom, you okay? You
Bro, listen.
Because you said you were going to just things to Hitman.
Hitman 3 is the first real next gen title. Period. It's the first joint. Everything else that's come, like I know a lot of people was like, Ratchet and Clank is going to be the joint that comes out that makes it like, this is why you need a PlayStation 5. Hitman is so gorgeous, bruh. Like, that joint is incredible. Just what it looks like, it plays the same as the old joint.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I'm saying? But when you look at it, it's like, oh, okay, this is what they meant by ray tracing and new screen space reflections. And like it's that joint is like the first joint to really come out. It's like, nah, they really seem to have put this joint out to use these consoles. Now they've had some bumps because if you want to take your old saves from Hitman 2 and move them over so your equipment and stuff carries over, you got to go to their website. They got this whole website. It's like, it's so dumb, dog. They got a Hitman 2 like carrier crap over website that you have to go to, log into, upload your stuff, right? To move your stuff over to the new game. And because they did a like worldwide launch all at the same time,
it's flooded.
When I was on the joint last night, like that joint kept disconnecting from their servers, and I wasn't even trying to move my stuff over. It was just like sitting at the main screen. The joint kept disconnecting, and so they're still trying to get that fixed. And again, IO is not. I mean, they're a relatively small company, all things considered, and they don't have the backing of Square anymore. You know what I mean? They bought themselves out from Square, so they're independent. They're really doing their own thing. So I think they made a mistake by trying to do a worldwide launch and everything came out at the same time. Like I was looking at, people in the UK and was like, bro, it's 1 o'clock in the afternoon. This joint just came out and I can't play it. And I was like, it's 8 o'clock in the morning here and it's just now available and people can't, you know what I mean? Like, and then here's the crazy thing. If you want to transfer your stuff, but you decide not to do it right away. If you start playing Hitman 3 and then you go back later to import your stuff from Hitman 2, it erases whatever you did in Hitman 3. You got to start over.
Disgusting.
It's very nasty right now.
You got to make the decision. Do you just want to just play it as is, or you want to wait till they get it fixed and get your stuff?
You know what I did?
You just started playing.
What? I got in that thing, bro. Got all up in that thing, bro. You know what? I got to look. Okay, I'm not sure if it's 120 hertz. It doesn't need it though. It's not that. I mean, it's not that fast paced. I don't think it needs 120 hertz. But I'll double check it. I don't think it is. I just, in terms of like the power of these systems, like just the first stage alone, the number of reflections and shadows and whatever that are like, you couldn't do this on last gen hardware. Is insane. Like you land on a building that is completely mirrored. Like the whole building is mirrored. And like it's like super windy. You can actually see the windows of the building like bowing, like waving in and out, like as you walk around the inside of the building. Like it's crazy.
That's clean.
Yeah. That joint's pretty solid, man. Yeah, I'm impressed. I'm glad that it's here. I mean, again, look, there's Assassin's Creed, and Assassin's Creed is kind of a big open world, and there's definitely some stuff, but you can see them continuing to do updates to kind of fix things that should be making use of the current gen better. And it's working as they do those upgrades, but it didn't necessarily hit that way. You know what I'm saying? So again, it's interesting to see. Right now, we're still getting things that feel a little bit more like ports and stuff like that. I'm excited to see what happens with the medium next week. Because though I'm not like oh my god, the medium's going to be, but like it's only this gen, so I want to see, and I want to see what they do with that ability. Again, like people are talking about Ratchet and Clank and being able to jump, into that one thing and it using the SSD. But again, that's not something we haven't seen. Like they did that in Titanfall 2 like 5 years ago. You know what I'm saying? You could swap back and forth between being in the past and being in the present. You could do it in it's the Bethesda joint. With the dude, his name's Corvo. I don't think either one of y'all played it. I don't know. I always forget the name of the joint. But they did. The second one came out, I don't know, a couple of years ago. Had some decent DLC, and they have like,
I'm thinking of it.
Type in Corvo, it'll pop up.
I wasn't trying to. I'm trying to actually remember.
I go back like,
he had to stop himself for a second.
I can't think of it either. But like, they had a whole a map in the game. Dishonored.
Oh, Dishonored. Yep, it was on the tip of my tongue.
They had a level in that joint where like you have this ability to like literally open a portal, see in time, and jump through time, and what was happening in the same space in one place or another was different. You could just jump through that joint in real time or whatever. So it's not like we haven't seen it at all.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? In some way before. So the medium trying to like conjure an entire game world two at the same time, we'll see if it actually, you know what I mean, fleshes itself out and does what it's supposed to. It's on Game Pass. So I'm gonna jump in and I'm gonna see what's up. Let them start putting Ubisoft joints on Game Pass, boy.
Be a rat.
Hey, if they up the price of Game Pass, if they announced that Ubisoft games was coming day and date to Game Pass, if they announced it like next week, and the price went up, what would be the most you'd be willing to pay?
You got $14.99, so like.
I mean, if you have Game Pass Ultimate, you're paying $15 now a month.
25,
probably 25. I think that's the sweet spot. Because I mean, that's literally essentially just taking the service and just rolling it over into the price of Game Pass at that point. So, so yeah, I think that would be the sweet spot for it. But
I think the sweet spot would be 20. But I feel you on 25 being the max.
Yeah.
I feel you on that. I don't know, man. Okay, listen. We need to wrap this up. So I want to thank everybody for joining us in the chat tonight. We have some things that are popping off over the next week or so. Next weekend on Saturday, we're participating in a 24-hour live stream that's happening from 8 in the evening on the 29th to 8 in the evening on the 30th. 2 of those hours are ours. 2 of those hours are ours. Yes.
Yeah. Okay.
And so from 10 to 12 on Saturday the 30th, we are going to be deciding the top 10 DC animated films of all time, along with a couple of friends of ours. The stream itself is for a local charity called the 3Bs Foundation, which is Bosom Buddy Baskets. And they make care baskets for women who have undergone breast mastectomy surgery, following a cancer diagnosis. So it's a great foundation, and we're very happy to participate. The stream itself is being hosted and run by some good friends of ours over at Uncanny Nerd. So make sure you go and follow Uncanny Nerd on Facebook, Twitch, so forth. Uncanny Nerd. There's some good folks over there doing some really good work and putting out some really good content. And again, we're happy to be a part of it. So yeah, we'll have a link that'll go up. We have our own personal K working on a piece. So one of the folks over there at Uncanny Nerd is a gentleman by the name, we call him BP. And he does some great graphic design stuff, and he put a little something together for us. But I have Kay doing a little tweak for me so we can put something out that just kind of fits the way we like to do things at Loading Snacks, slightly differently. But we'll put that out, and we'll have a link so that people can go and start making donations on Facebook. But again, if you go follow Uncanny Nerd on Facebook, you will find all that information there. So please do that. Sin, you have a job to do. So if you would.
Yeah, so let's go ahead and shout out our top tier patrons, starting with Anthony Cunningham, Marcus Houston, Susan Dortch, and Tyrone Carson. Thank you very much. We truly, truly appreciate it.
No doubt. Jokes.
Yes, sir.
Good job, bro.
Job is done.
It's done. So if you guys take a look at the chat, you will see a link to our link tree. There you can go and find all of our social media links. If you are following us in one place, please go and follow us on the others. It just helps us grow. We greatly appreciate that. Tomorrow's Friday, and that means we're getting a new episode of WandaVision. Anybody staying up to watch it at 3?
Nope.
Will.
Me too. But we will be recording a new Spoiler Boys episode where we will be discussing WandaVision with spoilers. So, Jokes, if you could throw up the MCU chat link. Yeah, I know. I threw it. Listen,
he wasn't ready for that one.
I wasn't ready for that one.
Listen, if you're not already in MCU chat, you should jump on MCU chat. It's a private group where we get together, there, and everybody can talk about things that are going on with the MCU. We have a special section there that is just for spoilers, specifically for WandaVision. When we do those episodes, we will put a 15-minute or so episode in there to talk about how we felt about the most recent episodes. So we'll do that every Monday. So we want to give people time to watch Friday, Saturday, Sunday. So 10 a.m. on Monday, those will hit there. And for those of you who are patrons of ours, we will upload the full discussion to Patreon so you can take a look at it there. So, now that we've got all that out the way and Jokes handled his curveball, proud of you, it's time for us to say goodbye. So, thank you again to everybody who tuned in, for joining us in the chat. Honestly, having you all in the chat makes this so wonderful. We definitely enjoy being able to do this live and speak with you guys, hear your opinions, and yell at each other about it sometimes. With that, we're out. You've been watching Cutscenes, Toodles, and Loos. What it do, snackers and snackettes? Did you like what you just saw? Would you like to help us grow? Here's what you can do. Shoot over to patreon.com/loading snacks. And don't forget to like, share, and subscribe on your favorite platform of choice. Appreciate you.